I am Liyana Hassanel and this is Nightline, the top stories. Politicians told to reject more than one pension. And former Finance Minister Tun Daim to be charged on Monday. Good morning. Datuk Sri Anar Ibrahim said politicians or government employees who receive several pensions should fulfill their moral responsibility by choosing just one pension scheme. The Prime Minister said this is because there are former ministers, Menteri Besar and government officers who are entitled to 3 to 4 pensions. Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, said the new pension scheme was only a proposal and that no decision had been made on it. In spite of this, he believes that individuals entitled to 3 to 4 pensions for holding various positions in the government should consider the country's economy by choosing only one pension and forgoing the rest.
Perlembagaan tidak membolehkan kita membatalkan apa yang telah dipersetujui sebelum ini. Yang kita nak mulakan ialah peraturan baru yang boleh berkuat kuasa setelah diputuskan bagi jawatan-jawatan baru. Ini termasuklah jawatan-jawatan politik. Itu cadangan kita yang akan kita bentangkan di Jemaah Menteri dan kemudian tentunya di Parlimen kerana melibatkan beberapa pindaan undang-undang. Jadi tidak boleh batalkan yang sedia ada kerana ini sudah terikat dengan perjanjian dan juga jaminan perlembagaan.
Anwar said this to the media after officiating Zunegara's 60th anniversary celebration at Dataran Dato' Ismail Hudson in Hulu Klang, Ampang on Saturday. He was commenting on a statement by the Council of Former Elected Representatives, Mubarak, which said elected representatives should continue to receive remuneration after completing their term of service. This came after Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Zahid Hamidi announced on Wednesday that new civil servant hires from February 1st would no longer qualify for pension. They would instead contribute to retirement schemes like the Employee Provident Fund, EPF, and Social Security Organisation, SOCSO. Anwar on Friday also said that the review of pension schemes also applied to political appointments, and the matter would be finalised only after the study on the review was brought to the Cabinet for a decision. Now, on another matter, Anwar views the International Court of Justice, ICJ's decision over the crisis in Gaza as a clear stance of condemning the cruel attacks by Israeli forces against the oppressed Palestinians. The Prime Minister, nevertheless, is aware that such a decision did not meet the hopes of Palestinians for a complete end to the Israel's atrocities in Gaza.
Kurang-kurang jelas pendirian ICJ mengutuk serangan dan mendesak supaya dihentikan serangan dan disegerakan bantuan kemanusiaan.
He pointed out that Malaysia has also been firm in its stance in condemning the attacks and will continue to monitor and provide the necessary support for the people of Palestine. Meanwhile, Malaysia will present its oral submission at the ICJ regarding Israel's atrocities against Palestine next month. Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan said he would be representing the country on the matter at The Hague, Netherlands on February 22nd.
Jadi alhamdulillah langkah sementara ini kita harap supaya Israel selaku party state ataupun negara yang menandatangani Konvensyen Genocide 1948 tersebut akur kepada keputusan Mahkamah Keadilan Antarabangsa ini.
Mohammed also said that Malaysia welcomed and was pleased with the ICJ's decision on Friday, which also set 6 interim measures in the case brought by South Africa against Israel pending a full trial. He added that these initial steps were a victory for countries that wanted the mass killings by the Zionist regime in Gaza to be stopped immediately. In the meantime, the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, is expected to meet next week over the decision by the global body's top court calling for Israel to prevent genocidal acts in Gaza. The meeting scheduled for Wednesday was called by Algeria, whose Foreign Affairs Ministry said it would give a binding effect to the pronouncement of the ICJ on the provisional measures imposed on the Israeli occupation. The ICJ on Friday said the Zionist regime must prevent genocidal acts in its war with Hamas and allow aid into Gaza, but stopped short of ordering a ceasefire as requested by the plaintiff, South Africa. Palestinian ambassador to the UN, Riyad Mansour, interpreted the decision as sending a clear message that in order to implement the requested actions, a ceasefire is needed. He also hinted that the Arab group represented on the council by Algeria would push for one. Meanwhile, the Zionist regime continued to intensify its air, sea and land bombardments in Gaza on Saturday, even as the ICJ ordered it to take steps to prevent acts of genocide. According to the Gaza's health ministry, at least 174 Palestinians were killed in Israeli attacks in the past 24 hours, while 310 others were left wounded. Israeli attacks on healthcare facilities continued in southern Gaza, with Al Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis completely losing power. In Rafah, where over half of Palestinians were taking cover in shelters and tents, 3 people were killed in an attack on a residential home. To date, the death toll in Gaza has surged to 26,257 Palestinians, with 64,797 others left wounded. Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki has confirmed that Tun Daim Zainuddin is expected to be charged in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Monday. The former finance minister will face a charge under the MACC Act for allegedly failing to comply with a notice to declare his assets. Azam revealed this through a brief WhatsApp message to TV3 on Saturday. Daim, in a statement issued on Saturday, also confirmed the matter, saying that he will be charged under Section 36(2) of the MACC Act and expressing his anticipation for his day in court. He added that the MACC had also recorded his statement on Friday. Last Wednesday, the MACC said that it had obtained permission from the Attorney General Chambers, AGC, last week to charge Daim in court, but it had to be deferred as he had been admitted to a private hospital. According to the graft buster, the investigation into Daim was initiated based on information obtained from the Pandora Papers, which disclosed details related to confidential documents of wealthy and influential individuals worldwide, hiding their wealth through offshore services or companies outside of their countries. Azam stated that the investigation papers on the case were opened in February last year. Last Tuesday, it was reported that Daim's wife, Toh Puan Naimah Abdul Khalid, had been charged in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court for failing to comply with a notice to declare her assets, which include Menara Ilham and several properties in Kuala Lumpur and Pulau Pinang.
Niat untuk melepaskan tembakan kepada apa-apa yang bernyawa ni, keputusan yang cukup dibuat dengan hati yang kering lah.
Malang tidak berbau, ajal boleh datang pada bila-bila masa, kebetulan untuk semangsa dia berlaku di tempat kerja.
You won't see this fellow as a criminal, tetapi kelakuannya terhadap si mati adalah kejam.
Datuk Sri Anar Ibrahim has expressed confidence that the people had benefited from the justice and prudence of Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah in ensuring that everyone enjoyed peace throughout the King's reign. The Prime Minister said the concern shown by Al-Sultan Abdullah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria for the people's welfare went beyond the confines of the established boundaries between a monarch and his subjects. Anar said this in his address at the state banquet held in a hotel in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday night, in conjunction with the completion of Al-Sultan Abdullah's reign as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. He highlighted that beginning with prolonged political instability, the spread and impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and shifting economic downturns, the country has been placed in uncertainty and crisis. However, Al-Sultan Abdullah has fulfilled the responsibilities of leadership perfectly, embodying qualities with a people-centric approach which consistently aligns with the Rakyat to ensure that peace and well-being remain priorities in any circumstances. Anar also expressed appreciation for the wisdom of Al-Sultan Abdullah in establishing a unity government that successfully fostered consensus and enabled political stability. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has ordered flood mitigation projects to be expedited for the benefit of the people. The king said this included the mitigation project involving Sungai Lembing in Kuantan, Pahang that was presented to him.
Saya harap sungai itu perlu didalami lagi supaya kita boleh bantu supaya tempatan ini benar-benar berkesan. Jadi buat sementara ini, mana-mana rumah yang perlu diperbaiki, tolonglah cari sumber-sumber untuk membantu penduduk di sini. Ya, saya nak tengok kawasan ini diselenggara semula. Takkan setiap bulan kena cuci rumah aja ataupun dibaiki semula.
Al-Sultan Abdullah said this in a speech during a visit to the temporary flood relief center at Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Sungai Lembing, which houses over 400 evacuees on Saturday. Also present was acting Sultan of Pahang, Tengku Hassanel Ibrahim Alam Shah. During the visit, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong also presented donations from Yayasan Al-Sultan Abdullah to over 200 household heads at the relief center. Donald Trump ordered to pay over $80 million in defamation trial. News from the foreign front when we return.
Orang Sarawak, jom ke Karnival Jom Heboh Segulai Sejalai Sarawak untuk aneka keriangan bersama keluarga. Temui selebriti dan maskot kami serta sertai pelbagai aktiviti menarik, hiburan dan dapatkan hadiah percuma sepanjang hari. Jumpa anda semua 26 hingga 28 Januari ini di Kuching, Sarawak. Jom, jom, jom. Sarawak, bumi dengan khazanah semula jadi bertaraf dunia. Keindahan alam, kehalusan seni, keharmonian budaya. Destinasi pilihan yang menggamit semua. Sarawak menanti kunjungan anda.
Skizofrenia antara masalah kesihatan mental yang semakin membimbangkan.
Saya akan mulalah dengan suara-suara ataupun dengan benda-benda yang boleh dikatakan seram jugalah.
Adakah pesakit boleh menjalani kehidupan seperti sedia kala?
Kadang-kadang kalau kita dah tunjukkan bukti apa yang diorang percaya ni tak betul, tak tepat, dia akan kata kita salah.
Dilema skizofrenia. Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
The foreign news. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration on Friday has formally informed Congress of its intention to proceed with the $23 billion sale of F-16 fighter jets to Turkey, taking a major step toward completing a long-delayed process that strained ties with Ankara. The State Department sent the notification to advance the sale of 40 Lockheed Martin F-16s and nearly 80 modernization kits to Turkey. The move came a day after Ankara completed the ratification of Sweden's NATO membership, a step directly linked to the jet sales. Simultaneously, the Biden administration advanced the sale of 20 Lockheed F-35 stealth fighter jets to NATO ally Greece in an $8.6 billion deal aimed at balancing relations between two alliance members with a history of tension. Turkey initially requested the jets in October 2021. But delays in Ankara's approval of Sweden's NATO bid hindered congressional approval for the sale. Still in the U.S., former President Donald Trump on Friday was ordered to pay $83.3 million to writer E. Jean Carroll, whom he accused of defaming him by denying her claims of sexual assault. In a court ruling, a jury of 7 men and 2 women awarded the former Elle magazine columnist $18.3 million in compensatory damages and $65 million in punitive damages. The civil order, which was met with an audible gasp in the New York courtroom, far exceeded the $10 million in damages sought by Carroll. This follows a previous jury decision in May, where Trump was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, resulting in a $5 million damages order. Carroll accused Trump of forcing himself on her in 1996, which Trump denied, labeling her a complete con job trying to boost her memoir sales. Ake hailed as city's hero with late winner. Actions from the
jiwa wanita menjadi pengukur kasih sayang.
Saya dibesarkan dengan melihat sendiri gajah tu di depan mata.
Haiwan yang penyayang. Kalau kita baik dengan dia, dia baik dengan kita. Kalau kita sayang dia akan sayang kita lebih lagi.
Penjagaan orkid ni sangat senang sebenarnya. Orkid boleh tahan 10 tahun. Kalau berbunga tu boleh dalam sebulan.
Apakah peranan seorang suami atau isteri yang soleh-solehah? Dia digoda oleh orang perempuan yang masih muda, lain perginya. Ya, taubat tak taubat, be careful.
Awak-awak, kejap. Baru pukul 9 malam. Takkan dah nak tidur? Jomlah teman saya layan. #SoKampung 7 Januari. Kembalikan sinarnya 14 Januari. Tolong jaga dia pesat 21 Januari. Adik kakak 28 Januari. Dah layan semua telefilm ni, barulah boleh mimpi indah. Pastinya di Cerita Ahad TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports. Football, the English FA Cup. Manchester City moved into the 5th round in a dramatic fashion as Nathan Ake's controversial late goal clinched the Holders' 1-0 win against Tottenham on Saturday. After a goalless first half, Bernardo Silva almost gave City the lead, but his shot was repelled by goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario, while Kevin De Bruyne's efforts went wide minutes later. The citizens' pressure was finally rewarded in the 88th minute, when Dutch defender Ake was the first to react to Vicario's mistakes in catching the ball, stabbing home from close range. The win saw City finally manage to leave North London on a high note, as they had lost all 5 of their previous visits to Tottenham's plush arena without scoring a goal since the stadium opened in April 2019. City won all 3 major prizes last season and remain firmly in the hunt to retain the Premier League, Champions League and the FA Cup. On to tennis, the 2024 Australian Open. World number 2 Aryna Sabalenka successfully defended her title to claim a 2nd Grand Slam trophy after defeating Zheng Qinwen 6-3, 6-2 in a one-sided women's final on Saturday. The 25-year-old Sabalenka broke Zhang's serve and took the first set in 33 minutes. She broke again to start the second set and maintained her dominance throughout the match against the 12th-seeded Zhang. Serving for the match at 5-2 in the second, she had 3 championship points at 40 love, but missed 2 with wide or long forehands and another with Zhang's clever drop shot. In the end, she needed 5 championship points before finishing off with a forehand cross-court winner. The win saw Sabalenka become the first woman since Victoria Azarenka in 2012 and 2013 to win back-to-back Australian Open titles. Gaming has long been stigmatized as a mere waste of time, but the past decade has seen people of all ages turn into professional gamers. FMT's Natasha Bust and Amira Huda delve deeper into the life of a Malaysian undergraduate bent on making a career out of gaming.
Have you ever been cooped up in your room playing video games all day? What did your parents say? Did they call you lazy and tell you video games are addictive and a waste of time? Well, times are changing. What was once seen as a pointless hobby is now a lucrative career. Meet Hazim Salihuddin. By day, he is just another university student. But by night, the 24-year-old gamer known as Kai steps out as captain and in-game leader of Team Path, a 7-member esports team. The team, comprising university students, spend upwards of 6 hours every evening training. The intense preparation has served the team well, helping it to snag several local championship titles. Those wins tend to also come with financial rewards. So far, Team Path has raked in 25,000 ringgit from winning esports tournaments. Hazim is one of the lucky ones. His parents have always encouraged his love for gaming, and the prize money on offer has sealed their support.
One of the things that I'm most grateful of is that my family has been really supportive of me. My parents were also reassured when I started to get into Team Path because now I'm actually making money.
Now, Hazim has his sights set on transitioning to gaming full-time after he graduates.
Pursuing esports as a career is definitely a privilege because, as people say, one of the biggest privileges in life is when you can turn your passion or hobby into a career.
With esports gaining mainstream recognition through its inclusion in the 2023 Asian Games, Esports Integrated CEO Ahmed Faris Amir says the government's support for the industry will contribute to its growth. However, gaming content creator Anton Jermaine Tanabalasingham, better known as the Mustachio AJ, believes more can be done.
At the moment, I think there is a very heavy dependence on the private sector to grow the esports industry in Malaysia. It would be great if the government could identify organizations and the people who are willing to enrich themselves and at the same time enrich other Malaysians as they grow richer every day.
Natasha Bust and Amira Huda, FMT for Nightline.
After this breather, search and rescue called off as all bodies recovered in Cameron Highlands landslide.
Mula rasa kebas tu saya nak pijak tu rasa sakit, rasa ngilu tu pinggang rasa macam tak stabil, tak selesa. Kaki pun rasa macam tak rasa pijak.
Bagi saya susahlah. Tapi nak macam mana, kena hadap jugalah kehidupan macam ni. Sebab Allah uji saya dengan macam ni, jaga suami lagi, jaga anak lagi. Saya kena hadap jugalah.
Welcome back. In Pahang, the bodies of the 2 remaining victims buried beneath the landslide at Kampung Raja, Blue Valley in Cameron Highlands were found on Saturday evening. Both bodies, a man and a woman, were discovered at 6:10 p.m. and 6:50 p.m. respectively, with a 5-meter gap between them. District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Azri Ramli said the 2 victims were identified as 56-year-old Shing Lohar and 37-year-old Om Mew. Earlier at noon, the body of the third victim, identified as Tang Mong, aged 25, was also recovered. All the bodies have been brought to Sultanah Hajah Kalsom Hospital in Cameron Highlands for post-mortem and identity verification process. They were among 5 Myanmar nationals, including a woman, who were buried alive after their houses were hit by a landslide around 2:40 a.m. on Friday. A search and rescue operation was subsequently launched before the bodies of 2 victims, identified as Loha Pei and Kishing Om, aged 36 and 48, were retrieved from the landslide area at 5:40 a.m. and 12:05 p.m. respectively. Azri said that authorities have also notified the Myanmar embassy in Malaysia for follow-up action. The Malaysian Army will soon set up a board to investigate the drowning incident that claimed the lives of 3 boys at a training pool of an army camp in Temerloh, Pahang on Friday. Army Chief General Tan Sri Muhammad Hafizuddin Jantan said the board would investigate from various angles, including factors related to the facility's control and how the victims managed to break into the facility as it is locked and fenced off.
Kita nak mengenal pasti punca berlakunya kejadian tersebut. Adakah berlaku kelemahan dari segi pengawalan ke, atau pagar tu mungkin perlu diganti dengan baru lebih tinggi atau dengan anti-climb punya material ke, sebab kolam tu dah ada sekian lama sebenarnya, cuma ini kejadian seumpama ini berlaku.
Hafizuddin said this to the media after the passing out parade at the Army Basic Training Centre, Pusasda, involving 1,436 soldiers in Port Dickson, Negeri Sembilan, on Saturday. He explained that all military training grounds are restricted zones except for Army personnel. He also said that the pool would usually be empty but would be filled with water for training purposes aside from the accumulation of rainwater. On Friday, it was reported that 3 boys, 2 of them aged 11 and another 13, who were children of the camp's army personnel, were found drowned in the training pool measuring 7 feet deep. Hafizuddin, who also expressed sadness over the incident, said the army has assisted the families of the victims to facilitate their funeral arrangements. Over 100 illegal immigrants were detained in a special operation, codenamed Opstaring, at Selayang Market in Kuala Lumpur early on Saturday morning. City Police Chief Datuk Alauddin Abdul Majid said the joint raid was conducted at about 3 a.m. and involved 465 officers and personnel from the Police, Immigration Department and Malaysian Civil Defence Force. According to Alauddin, the operation was aimed at curbing criminal activities around the area, particularly those involving undocumented immigrants. A total of 213 foreign nationals were rounded up for inspection, resulting in the arrest of 108 illegals for various immigration offences, including not having valid travel documents and overstaying. Those detained comprised 50 Indonesian men and 2 women, 33 Myanmar men and 2 women, 12 Indian national men, 7 Bangladeshi men, a Nepalese man and a Pakistani man. They were then handed over to the immigration authorities for further investigation under the Immigration Act. Alauddin said police, assisted by other departments and agencies, will continue to carry out similar operations in the future to combat crime and ensure public safety. He also welcomes information from the public regarding suspicious activities or the presence of illegal immigrants in their respective areas. Nightline draws to a close this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at the opening event of the 2024 World Rally Championship, the 92nd Rally Monte Carlo, one of the most unpredictable rallying events thanks to the often tricky winter conditions in the French Alps. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.